Tea time with Matt, Jimmy, and Nolan. Except Matt's not here because he's ill and dying.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so we're back. We don't know what number episode this is. We're doing back-to-back episodes because we apologize for not releasing episode 2 in a timely manner. That was entirely my fault. He sent it to me, and I just sat on it for no reason a long time.
We're still here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're still alive. I'm Nolan.
I'm Jimmy.
And today we have another faculty member at Marshall with us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Tijah Bumgardner. I'm an associate professor in the School of Art and Design, and I teach the filmmaking program here.
Nice. So could you tell us a little bit about, because I know the filmmaking program, that's still fairly new, correct?
Well, I think the name filmmaking is new for this major. And, it is the first BFA in filmmaking in the state of West Virginia. It was the video production major in the College of Arts and Media. And so it was like this interdisciplinary program that didn't live in one of the schools that's in the College of Arts and Media. We have the School of Journalism and Mass Communication, School of Art and Design, School of Music, and School of Theater. And this video production program, they wanted it to be an interdisciplinary program, so it just lived in the college, which created a lot of confusion with students and what it really was. They took classes in journalism, they took classes in art and theater and music, and the idea of that, because it had started before I got here, sounds great. It's interdisciplinary, and we should be interdisciplinary with everything we have to offer, and we should work together across schools and colleges, across the university, and really make this a community where we, are able to create things together. Yeah. But when it came to scheduling and what that path really meant for students and what their major could be, it got really confusing. And so this way, we're now able to say, this is filmmaking. And nice. So I think that's really where the program started. So yes, it's new, but I've been teaching filmmaking really since I got to Marshall in 2017.
Okay. You actually got to make a film recently, didn't you? Or
I did get to, yeah.
Yeah, would you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I could say I got to, I guess. I've made, quite a few films, but most recently I finished up a feature narrative that we shot in August of this year. So, yeah, we're in post-production on that. I had a meeting with my editor just today, and we hope to start looking at a rough cut, hopefully at the end of December, beginning of January on that film.
So what was that? What does the filmmaking process look like?
It's a lot. It starts with the seed of an idea, and you kind of go from there and develop that idea more. You do research, you figure out what this story is that you want to tell, and then you make an outline, you make a script, you make a pitch deck, and then you hope to get people on board. And once you do, you start shopping that around, start thinking about how you're going to raise money, because it takes a lot of money to make movies. And then you start breaking down that script. How are you going to shoot it? What days will you shoot? Who's going to be your crew? Again, more money. You got to have a lot of money. So much money.
So it's
all about money.
Can we do that? Well, let's check the budget.
Yeah, exactly. Budgets. Got to have budgets. So there are many, many steps to making a film, for sure.
So with all these steps, with all these difficulties in the road, what keeps you within this field? What keeps you from leaving it?
Well, I'm very passionate about filmmaking, and, I say this to my students, I have to make films. There's nothing else. I wouldn't trade it for anything. As difficult as it is, right? When my last feature documentary that I made, Picture Proof, at one point, the mom, because we followed a family for 4 years, and the mom asks her daughter was having trouble with substance use. And she asked her, she's like, well, what would you trade this for? What would you trade it for? And that's something that I carry with me ever since she said that in the film. And it's it is hard, but what would I trade it for? I feel film is such a powerful medium. And, I hope that the work I make, I like to make work, as Kathleen Stewart says, she's a sociologist, making work that can make a difference. And that's what I hope that my projects can do. And so, yeah, I feel like there are so many stories, and I am grateful and privileged to be able to turn those into films. And so why would I not want to do that? I think is kind of how I look at it.
That's awesome.
So how did you end up coming to Marshall as a professor?
So I pretty much love this story. I'll try to keep it brief because it's one of my favorites. So I am from Southern West Virginia. I'm from Fayette County, very small town called Meadowbridge. And fast forward a little bit, I ended up in California. I went out there to do acting. And I ended up at a community college where I was introduced to film. I never knew I wanted to go to college. It was never like part of my growing up experience that was something you could do. So I went out there for acting, but I did end up in a community college in a filmmaking class. And I was like introduced to film in that way. I was just like, oh, wait, this isn't what I would go see in Beckley at the Crossroads Mall, like theater. Like there were films, with subtitles, and there were French films and independent films, and this was all new to me. And so I got very into making films, and I ended up going to Cal Arts for my undergrad. And when I graduated, I emailed Marshall because I knew, like, I wanted to come home to West Virginia. Any story I wanted to tell takes place here. And I had an assistantship at Cal Arts, and I got to help teach high school students, like, how to make films. And in that process, I was like, oh, what? Like, you're in high school and you get to learn how to make films? Like, I get to teach you this? I was like, I'd never had this. And I was like, oh, I want to teach film in West Virginia. Like, that's what I, want to do. And so many years ago, when I graduated with my undergrad, I sent an email to Marshall University, and I was just like, hello, I see you do not have a film program. It'd be really cool if you did, basically. That sums it. I still have these emails. This was in 2009. Okay. And the dean at the time, Dean Van Horn, wrote me back, and he was so kind. He was just like, I really appreciate your passion. I hope that you find what you want to do. If you do move back, that's great. But starting a program at a university is very difficult, and we do not offer that at this time. And that was like it. And plus, I only had my undergrad. And so I was like, all right. Fast forward again, I move back to West Virginia. I get my master's. I go on for my doctorate, and I'm making my first narrative feature film. And I heard that they started that video production program, and like the interdisciplinary one. And so I show up I think I emailed Don Van Horn again. I was just like, hi, I'd like to have a meeting with you. I'd love to be an adjunct. And so that's kind of where I got started here at Marshall. In 2016, I think, is when I came in, and I had my folder with my CV and a DVD of my new film. And I was like, hello, I'm a West Virginia filmmaker. I'm a woman. Here's this. I would love to teach here. And so I was lucky enough. The School of Art and Design hired me as an adjunct. And so I taught 2 classes through them. And then a position opened up in the School of Journalism and Mass Communications. And so they wanted more video production stuff. And so that's where I started. And now with the filmmaking program, now I'm in the School of Art and Design. But that's how I got here
One of
at
the
Marshall.
best stories.
Right? Thank you.
Really?
I love that story so
Really?
much.
You went out and you asked and you saw opportunity and you just made a new program. The thing that Dean Van Horn said was so hard to do.
Yes.
So,
and he was
amazing.
so so supportive when I got here. And it's just funny. Once we got the BFA in filmmaking going, we went out and stuff, and I had that email printed out, and I was like, look at this, remember this? It was it's just so funny that I was like, to look back on that and be like, I knew I wanted this, and now here I get to be here, and I want students to know that, this is where I want to be. I had a professor once who, it was at that community college, and we were out for, we'd had some screening or something. And we were talking with him, and, he was younger, and said something, we said something about teaching. He's like, you really think I want to be teaching? I don't. I want to just be making films. And I was like, it hurt my feelings. I was like, but I'm learning from you. And so I think it's important for my students to know, I want to teach them. I have moments in class where making films, because now I get to have these studio classes. So we have a full crew, and we're making films during class. And I look around, and I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all, this is my job. I get to help teach you. And then like when I did make this film this past summer, I was able to hire like 5 students that graduated from my program. I hired them on to help me make this film. And then I also brought current students on as production assistants. And so it's just like, it's really hard to explain how grateful I am that this is what I get to do. And so it's,
No, preach.
No,
really,
I mean, it really is. And I want my students to know that. Like, I push them. I definitely push them because I know they have potential. And I think that West Virginia filmmakers are so important in telling the stories that are here, telling their stories, that their stories are meaningful, that it's not just folks coming in and telling our stories, that they, they have that agency, and we have the tools to be able to do that. And I just think that having this BFA in filmmaking program is really important for those reasons. And it's, it's for the students who, again, like I didn't have that growing up, but now we have this here. I don't know. I'm really...
In West Virginia especially.
Yeah.
All the stories you said that can be told here originate from here. People to have that outlet.
Yep.
Who started it initially, like the interdisciplinary...
That video production program?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like they knew that they wanted video production. And I think they had like somebody come in, like some, what are those folks called who are paid a lot of money?
Auditors?
No, they're paid a lot of money to come in and kind of tell you what your organization needs. What are they called?
Oh, I don't know, but I know what you're talking
Not
about.
Not advisors, but like somebody. Anyway, a consultant.
Consultant, yeah. No, 100%.
So I think it was a consultant that came in and... kind of talk them through it. But the way I knew that it was about to, that the video production program was starting. Should I put it over the equipment?
No, probably not. Probably not.
The carpet's fine. That's had it. That carpet does not count for anything. But so I knew that they were starting the video production program because Ryan Vance, who works here, was like, I grew up with his wife, like, I knew her before she was born, Danielle Vance. Like,
amazing. Okay.
We were friends, like we're from the same town.
Best part of West Virginia.
One of them. It honestly is. Yeah. And so her husband, Ryan, works here. Mm-hmm. And he was like, hey, they're starting this video production. And that's when I was like, let me get in on that, like so many years ago. I don't know exactly like how that part came about. I just know I came in and I was like, I'm going to teach this class, but I want to teach it this way. Oh, I'm going to teach this class, but I know film. I know filmmaking, so that's what I'm going to teach. And it was very confusing, like, what that program was and where it lived. And I didn't realize it wasn't in a school when I first started. It was a lot. And I was like, whoa, if I'm confused. And faculty were confused because they're like, why are you doing this? It's supposed to be like this. I'm like, what do you mean? I thought it was this. And then if I'm confused, students were really confused. So I'm so grateful that someone finally heard me. I feel like I was pushing for quite a bit, saying like, but the students, and finally
comes down to them, right?
It should, right? Like
it should.
That's where I learned that in academia.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, it is the students, like that's who matters. Yeah. And so I don't know. I'm grateful that someone finally listened and I was able to have support and people behind me who really believed in the program and were willing to like work with me. It's not just me. It's never just one person that can do anything. It's been great.
It sounds like a fun ride.
It is.
Some people say wild, but it seems like it worked out.
If it helps,
so far.
I've got a few people in my screenwriting class who are your students. And I can just tell that you, like, especially based off what you've been saying about your whole the passion and whatnot, I can tell you've been rubbing off on them. Because I'll walk into class being like, oh, shoot, I got all this. And they're over here like, okay, like, all they will be thinking about is, of course, their screenwriting for the class, but what all they can do for the major and what all the work they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah. Taking some ownership is always nice to see when the students have a little bit of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, especially in something like filmmaking, I can only imagine how that is like you have a community to work with of people and interest in equipment. And it's like, make some magic. We have 4 years. Let's see.
I know. and
it's just an incredible art form. I agree.
It is. And it's so collaborative. Yeah. And so when I see that and I see my students who are willing to give up weekends to work with one another for no pay. I mean, it is no budget. It's goes from low budget to like no budget.
Right.
But luckily we have the gear and they have the skills. And if they're willing to put in that time, and they are, and to see that, to watch that happening, oh my gosh. It's like I get like, it takes my breath sometimes when I see my students working so hard toward this passion that they believe in. And, I start my classes off by saying, look at the credits on this film. Look how many people it takes to make a film. Yeah. Look how many different jobs you can have, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think
industry jobs are important to bring up. Yeah.
And so we, I talk about that in class, that you may not be a big director. You may not be that. You may not be that. But what you do are some of these other jobs while you do the work on that you want to do. But again, hundreds of people, you just need one of those jobs to get paid for that project.
Yeah.
And seeing my students when they do get these jobs, like working with Hulu or MTV or HBO, like, oh my gosh, come on. That's awesome. I love it.
It's that, I don't know what movie this is, but you're doing it.
I don't either, but I'll take
classic,
it.
But yeah. No, it was really, I can enlighten on this, when Joby was working on his film. Mm-hmm. And I was able to just sort of sit there and watch them hash ideas out at the table. And I thought that was such a professional environment for them to really just be creatively working together and collaborating. Too cool.
Yeah.
And I do believe in all your students as well, those that I know. They really do take it serious. And it's hard to find, I think a lot of times, we talked about academia at one point a little bit ago. And I do think as people or students or faculty, there are certain things that it's hard to have heart in, but art is part of heart,
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are just so lucky to have a medium, that is creative.
Yeah.
That we can really have flourish versus like math. Nothing's wrong with math, obviously.
Nothing
it's
wrong
very
with it.
Practical.
It can be creative.
It can.
Taking math in art school, when I took it at Cal Arts, it was like, what are you doing with math? And it became very interesting.
Do you have an example?
Oh my gosh.
Any ideas?
Not really, but like it's just at the board and like doing these like really interesting things with numbers, but to not make it feel like it was for math, but it was for art. I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but it was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, they are using equations to create generative AI, which is kind of art. I mean, if you tell the AI what to do enough, right?
But I am often grateful when I sit in on other classes for like different committees or something. I'm grateful to be like, I teach film.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like, this is hard.
Let me tell you. Yeah.
I think one of the cool parts about college is, especially if you're taking a lower level class in a different school, a few years in, like right now I'm taking a human geography class. And so if I'd taken this class my freshman year, I don't think I would have been interested in it. But even though I'm not always applying that journalist angle, having that angle of, I'm a journalist, how could I incorporate this? It suddenly made the class a lot more interesting,
nice.
Bearable even.
Well, I mean, I tell my students that even with electives, I'm like, you can take any class. I was like, here's my suggestion, especially once they kind of find like the stories that they're interested in telling. I'm like, for example, right? Like my films take place in Appalachia, specifically West Virginia. And so any of like the Appalachian studies classes, that's what I would take as an elective because it's going to enhance my like work or, whatever. You're going to learn something. And so students who are interested in making like thrillers or horrors, it's like take a psychology class or, so I think that is similar to that where it's like once you have an idea of where you're kind of going with your career or future or passion or whatever, that then it can start to make sense. Yeah. I like that. I mean, I remember that as a student too. It's nice.
Yeah, education is definitely collective. I mean, it is interesting what kind of ideas you can get from other forms of knowledge and just like whether it clicks randomly as an epiphany or as you were saying, Nolan, you can kind of start to look things with a certain lens, like as a journalist. It's crazy cool. I think it's a big mission statement maybe behind academia that needs to be addressed. Do you think there are issues with people wanting to be in college or not? That's a question we sort of put out there sometimes. Like, do you think that's still being challenged as
if people need
should
college
go
or
to
not?
college? Yeah,
I think it's like such a personal choice. What I would I tell students this, it kind of says, who maybe are not having a great time. Like, I didn't go to school till I was like early 20s.
Yeah.
I didn't, but when I went,
same.
I knew what I wanted to do. And I got more, I would say, for my money, but for my loans, because I just owe a lot of money still. But like, I got more out of it because I knew, like, oh yeah, this is absolutely what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
And I think if you're 18.
18's young. 18's,
especially as I
really
get
a tough
older,
time to navigate life.
That's like so much younger. It's like, how do you know? And then especially like if you're thrown into like living on campus and all these things, or I don't know, it just seems so overwhelming. And maybe, I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think it's for everyone financially. I don't think, there's so many different paths to do what you want to do. But I think at 18, you may just not know what that is. And that's okay. Oh my gosh. You're so young. And hopefully, if you're lucky, life is long.
Exactly.
And you have so much to figure out. I mean, I would not be here if I hadn't just been like, oh, I'm going to be an actor and go to LA and like navigate that and figure it out. Like, man, what a good time. I'm so grateful. I just like spent those years like waiting tables and auditioning. Nothing like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think that it really depends on what you want to do, and it's okay not to know what you want to do. It's okay to change what you think you want to do. Whatever. I mean, it's for capitalism that we're supposed to like figure. I know we're not supposed to get too political, but come on.
I mean, there's a system, right? That is how this nation works, right?
And get down to brass tacks here. Capitalism.
It's just a damn good point. It's like I really like that idea of. I think there should be that 3 years hiatus. You know, you go out and chase whatever you're wanting to do. You know, if it's social work, like be part of. I don't know. You can still
volunteer,
do like a volunteering, UNICEF. You can. Do you think were you always interested in journalism right off of high school? Nolan?
So. I'm one of those people that I didn't fully know what I wanted to do when I came. All I knew is that, and it's mainly because I really stuck with the whole, I was really good at writing, I was really good at English classes, I really liked creative writing, and I really just liked TV and movies, and I was like, I'm going to shoot for the stars. And I still want to write for television and film one day. But I think, yes, I do agree. I think we should encourage students to, consider having gap years. But I also think something needs to be done at a high school level.
Yeah.
Most of my classmates, they'll talk about how they were in high school, like part of these journalism clubs and whatnot. My high school had jack squat. I had a teacher with a degree in some form of media communication. I think she said it's a journalism degree. And she's tried to start up a TV broadcast class. She tried to do a radio broadcast class, a podcasting class. And just because COVID and whatnot, and she was having to fund everything herself, it just never got off the ground. She could never get it. Like, most of your class day was spent actually helping set up the studio because she just could not get anything working. And finally, because, there's no progress being made, the school just finally canned her. All because, no progress. Yeah.
Jeez. But, yeah, I mean, I see that too, right? Where it's like, maybe it is good to jump in because you don't know what's out there if you don't know what's out there too.
Yeah.
But I guess like the tricky thing is, yes, starting earlier in high school, like I want to go into high schools and be like, y'all can make films. Like there are films being made here in this state.
It's a real job.
100%. And that's why I bring up like the credits of a film.
Like,
sit there, watch the credits, see all the names. They all worked on that. TV is the same. And there are so many different forms of like video and film and everything. But I think if you don't know what you don't know, do you want to pay the tuition, for a semester? If you can, hell yeah.
To figure out.
I mean, my goodness, everybody has different like financial means, and if you can, do it. I think it's so individual.
It really is.
If someone should go to
the
school,
equation of life is a tough one.
I do think exactly, but I do think in schools, what I lacked was a strong counselor to tell me there were options, because I was like, I'm going to be famous. And she's like, okay. And it wasn't, I was like, I'm a famous actor. It wasn't like, you can go to school for theater. You could do that. Oh, you enjoy theater? Oh, because I was doing broadcasting as a VOTEC kid.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I knew how to get my hands on cameras and be in front of a camera was like to do broadcast stuff. So I did that. I rode a bus for an hour every day to Oak Hill, from Meadowbridge to Oak Hill, my junior and senior year.
It's really pretty around there.
It is really nice. Oh, I would get on there, put on my headphones, go to sleep. It was wonderful.
Sure, yeah.
But it was just not a discussion of, hey, these are some options for you. Like, I thought like college was just one thing, math or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like some counselors, like in high school, like you were saying, actually just think that's all there is too.
Well, right. So I think maybe that's where there's maybe that lack of like finding out what the individual needs by having a discussion with the individual, with the person. What are your interests? I don't know.
The counselors at my high school would do the bare minimum, or at least they would do the bare minimum unless you were like a specific type of kid, and then they would like I remember the best example I have is, we would fill out these QR codes to sign up for counseling if we needed to ask questions or get our schedules refixed. And I got called down from the intercom to come talk to my counselor. I sit there, wait. I don't see anything and I don't hear anything. I hear the lunch bell go off and I'm like, okay, everyone's going to lunch. Hopefully this goes quick because I got to eat. Keep waiting, keep sitting there.
Really?
The lunch bell goes off again. I'm like, I missed lunch. And then my counselor walks in and she's like, oh, were you waiting for me? I'm like, yes, I got called down here. And she was like, oh, I was on lunch.
Oh, like, yeah, and I missed mine.
That's strange, yeah.
Shoot. But yeah, maybe that's where it could be helpful. Like, do you need to take a gap year? Do you need to go on to college? Do you want to do this? Do you want to find this out? Do you want to go to a 2-year school? Because, my God, I mean, education comes in so many different ways.
Heck, only reason I really went into journalism is because, my parents were like, we don't want you to do a degree this, like, risky and, not get a job. And then when, I was at Green and White
narrative.
Day. Yeah. And then which I understood what they're saying. I'm loving journalism, and then I was at a Green and White Day, and I think it was Sandy York. She was leading the booth, and she was actually like, oh, yeah, journalism is a great way to get your foot in the industry. And then I had my internship. One of my editors at the Herald-Dispatch, he cemented that. And he was like, yeah, I talked to the guy who created Star Trek once. And he was like, there are 2 ways to get into film if you're not already a filmmaker. Police work and being a journalist. And he said, the creator of Star Trek told me, I chose to be a cop because I hate journalists.
Huh. What was the cop connection?
Is that real? I looked this up after because I was like, ain't no way.
Okay.
Basically, the story goes, he became a cop. More specifically, he worked sort of in their, I guess, ad PR area. And he would be brought onto film sets for cop movies and cop TV shows to make sure everything's accurate and whatnot. And that's how he got those connections.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So maybe first responders in general.
Yeah. So we're at a fun little point where, we like to give a review of the tea. So, Tijah, would you like to introduce what you're drinking? And
this is a repeat tea.
Yeah, we've had people consume this one. It's the Under the Tuscan Sun.
Yes. This is the black tea. We're still not out of it yet.
It's very good.
Maybe a couple after. Yeah, no, it's a great blend. Steepology is great. They just never send your order on time, if it ever. But
wish this was a wine time podcast. But yeah, tea's good.
I'm down.
Right.
I'm sorry. DPS has to follow martial rules.
That's true.
Now, as long as we have security, you're allowed to have wine at events. So.
Yeah.
Okay. It costs, but hey.
I'm sure.
Yes, this tea is very good. That's my review.
Yeah.
I am drinking I'm drinking an organic ginger lemon green tea. For context, I've taken multiple sips so far. I've took a few sips before and after I put in some honey.
Okay.
I kind of like it before I put in I don't know if I put too little honey still or because it's now with the honey in it, it kind of tastes a little watered down. But
really,
with the honey in, once again, I don't know if I put too much or too little or not enough for that matter. That's at a solid 5 out of 10. Without the honey, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I like the lemony smells.
He's a tough
grader over here.
I think that was the highest score actually for Nolan.
No,
the 6.
really?
I think I've given something a 7 because
was it the chocolates? The chocolate tea?
I think it was the chocolate because
That's
of the
fair.
scent. Yeah.
Yeah.
For context, the whole reason we started this podcast was because I was dying of sickness in France during the Chamber Choir's trip last year. And he had me drink tea because he was like, that'll help you out. It did help me out.
Yeah.
But, and then we just started brainstorming. And I was like, and he made the comment of, you have a really bad sweet tooth. Because I was chugging waters, Cokes, and Powerades all the time.
That was his hydration method, you know.
Hey, I actually drank more water than I did soda, though. I'm proud of myself.
I know.
Yeah.
It was mostly just the airport getting there where there was just a lot of
yeah.
soda. It was just fun.
And so it was like, and so we started brainstorming the tea there, and then we were like, well, I need to diversify my taste buds, and this is how we ended up here.
Cool.
Yeah,
I mean, why not? This is actually very good. I wish it said what all was in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it smells like there's some lemon, maybe some orange.
Looked it up before. There is some orange peel. I
Yeah.
know that the wildest ingredient is some sort of yogurt is in there.
Stop
like actual
it.
like
How
little
fancy.
crumbles. Like supposed to give it a creamy texture.
Really?
Otherwise, I think it's just a straight black tea. It might have some bergamot in it.
It's very good.
yeah,
I didn't know
and
we
the
were grading
orange.
it. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, see, if I had a little cream and sugar, it'd probably be a 10.
Oh,
I'm going to
yeah.
go at 9.5.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Let's go. Hey.
Big fan. I'm an
Let's
easy
go.
grader.
I will say,
Lovely.
I do like the lemon one simply because every time I sniff it, and that's the other thing. Part of the reason I grade so harshly is because, once again, I'm very used to these, like, you know, I'm going to get a little wild here. I think America focuses on taste too much. For the
okay.
wrong
yeah.
reasons. For the wrong reasons.
I agree.
I think, like, for example, McDonald's sweet tea.
Yeah.
I think they focus too much on, like, sugar than actual,
You can
like,
chew it, that's for sure.
yeah, like too much sugar, not enough diversity of flavor.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'll actually like have good standards in tea. But it's like I'm smelling this, and I don't know if y'all would agree with me, but I'm getting like the smell of those like old lemon candies you would eat as a kid.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm
Okay.
really liking this one.
Let's see.
Okay.
Nostalgia.
Nice. It is interesting
Nostalgia
with tea.
can be a trap, but yeah, no.
It,
for
oh,
sure.
it can.
Yeah, look at comic book movies.
Right? There you go. It's true.
Yeah. Well, I went to. What did I have today? I think I went with this detox white. Yeah, it's right in front of me. Let's go.
Detoxing.
Okay, yeah, this doesn't have the blend either, but it's just kind of a straight up white tea. I think the detox part of it was like a dandelion root or something like
that's
that,
good
so
for
it
you.
helps with the
Okay.
liver function a little bit.
Did you steep
know.
it for like 10 minutes? That stuff takes so long to
3
steep.
to 4 minutes.
Then you ain't getting the dandelion goodness.
It actually true in this also. It does say 175 to 185 Fahrenheit, and I think herbals, tea, like the herbal part of teas, should be like 200 something. So you're right. Bad
Well,
instructions.
there you go.
I know. I'm gonna call them up.
Do
That's
it.
a bad blend. No.
Yeah,
No,
blast
but honestly, the
them on the
flavor's good.
podcast.
Apparently, yeah, I know, right? Buy from Capital Teas, not Steebon. No, but it's really good. I love a handmade tea versus a bag tea. You get fresher ingredients.
Yeah.
You have a more masterful blend. It's a good time. I think I would sweeten this one up a little bit though.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit earthy.
You know, you could go to the Healthy Life Market
Okay,
and you
yeah.
can get loose leaf tea, and they have like
I did not know
dried
this.
herbs and things, and you
Yeah.
could just like mix up your own.
Are you serious?
I'm 100%
Now, Healthy Life
serious.
Market. This is in
Well,
by the mall.
there
and-
is one there. I
Okay.
of course go. I live in Charleston, so I go to. We have two down there.
Okay.
Over there.
Fancy.
Whatever. I always
Yeah.
say down or up. Whatever. I'm
I
hillbilly.
guess it is over. I
Whatever.
know. I do too.
I don't know. But anyway, back to white tea. It was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, pretty good. I don't know. Maybe a 7 tops. Just because I know it's healthy. It's gonna be a nice little caffeine buzz. So yeah.
Okay.
Got to get through this evening.
Yeah, there's an art show tonight. It won't matter when this podcast airs, but Minutes Made too. It's down at the West Virginia building tonight,
I would
7 to
love it.
10.
I love it.
Student.
Oh, I can make it
mixed media.
later.
It's
So
going
it's
all
until
night.
10.
Till 10, 7 to 10.
I think I'll get out of the Wind Symphony concert 8:30 to 9.
Ooh.
So
That's a good time, yeah.
yeah.
Is you enough caffeine?
Yeah. Luckily, I'll be mixing some, so it'll keep me.
Oh, there you go.
Keep me in the mode.
There you go.
We're at about a 34, 35-minute mark, so I guess we should start winding down here. So,
Sure.
Tijah, would you just like to give some like final advice? Like, what advice would you have for anyone wanting to get into filmmaking?
Come on over. I mean, yeah, try it out.
Yeah.
Again, no commitments. Take a class. If you're here at Marshall, take a filmmaking class. Like I don't know. I feel like we're a small school, Marshall University, in comparison, and in comparison to what our funding is. I have to think of that. It's like, oh, I went to this school where I have like $100,000 in debt, and like, this is at least
here we are.
It is an affordable film school, and we are making films, and like the West Virginia Film Office like backs our program. Dave Lavender will come to class and talk with students, and I consistently get jobs sent to me because it's like what is it? A big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
Like the opportunities are there. And so, advice would be try it out. Pick up a camera, tell a story. Come on over. Let me help you with that.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
Can't be afraid of it.
No, we do. I mean, we have a lot of equipment to make like indie films. And people to support you and help you along the way. Yeah,
I mean, just a fun comparison. What would tuition be compared to the cost of like putting on an indie film? If one person was going to make an indie film versus pay just to come here for 4 years, I mean,
it would be cheaper to go to Marshall University.
And you get 4 years of experience.
Absolutely. And, that's something
working
too
different roles. And
I remember hearing this, like, yes, film school is important and you're learning a lot, but you're also learning who you could work with in the future. Oh, and I think that's really important. And I felt that on Of the Cloth, which is our feature that we just made, and having, 5 like alums like come back and like work on this film and watching them like do what they learned in class, like, oh my gosh, so cool. So I think the opportunities are there, and like, come try it. Let's make movies. Yeah.
And a small plug for the school of music. If anyone wants to compose for the filmmakers,
Yes, that's, I mean, honestly.
It's so big as far as a collaboration.
We need that collaboration. Absolutely.
We need a John Williams, George Lucas.
There we go.
Let's go.
Yeah. And we have like the School of Theater. We have like talent. There's so many different like opportunities to work together. Now, scheduling allowed it. It'd be so much easier.
Yeah, I was doing a film for my video production class for the School of Journalism, and the hardest part was like getting my friends together to help me with this video I had to make. I was like, no.
Oh, let me then plug our classes where they are like studio length, like students make short films, but they get 3 hours this day, 3 hours the next day. And so we're able to really get that hands-on experience in the class with collaboration. I'm like, film's a collaborative medium. I'm not going to be like, okay, go make a narrative film. I'm like, no. Okay, here's a group of 5 people in class. Here's the time during class to plan it. Because that's something, too, that I emphasize with the classes is that I know, and I would push, even when I taught classes that were not studio classes, I would still push for them to be longer in length because, again, film is collaborative. Yeah. And if you only have an hour and 20 minutes, when I taught a class, it was an hour and 20 minutes. And it was supposed to be like, we're making films or whatever. Yeah. I'd load in all the equipment and be like, this is the equipment. Oh my God, class is over. And they're just like, wasn't that time? And so now it's
a tough one.
And students have jobs. And I'm from West Virginia, and I know it's difficult. And putting yourself through school can be difficult. And they have jobs, or they're taking care of family, or they have their own families. And it's like this time during class needs to be that productive time, especially as a collaborative like medium that film is. Like you got to learn to work with one another. And yes, scheduling outside of class is like, I avoid that as much as possible. Like editing on your own, sure, that could be done. Like, but anyway, that's tough.
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Jimmy?
I'm loving this podcast. This episode's a good one.
It's going to be like triple the length because I like to talk.
It's just nice to
this will be one of the shorter ones.
Oh, really? Okay, great.
Well, yeah, we usually
do an hour.
We usually hang out, and then the guests will come by when they have time, and then we'll post talk to just random stuff. But Nolan, real quick, as far as closing remarks, and I know we're talking Student News Live tomorrow, but do you want to preface the episode at all? Just real quick, how was your experience?
Oh yeah, so, and once again, we don't know which episode.
Or what was Student News Live?
Yeah, so we still don't know which one's going to come out first. Student News Live was a big event where Marshall led 24-hour election coverage in collaboration with universities and high schools from all across the country. We even featured a school from Ireland and a school from Nepal. Funny enough, the school from Ireland was the one that got to call the election results.
That is funny. It's the non-American.
Yeah. I think that was the best thing to happen.
I mean,
honestly,
if we're allowed to get political,
that's fair.
Yeah. But it was a fun event. I stayed the whole 24 because I was audio director, which meant I was in charge of all podcasting content. I also got to lead the final hour as one of the anchors.
I did not know. That's awesome.
I am really excited to get. Yeah, I don't know if you saw on Facebook. I had like all the photos of me in my little suit. Yeah, that probably the funniest part was. Of all the students they could have picked, they chose the one guy with no anchoring experience beforehand.
Now you have some, though.
Yeah. We got a website where I've even put some podcasting content from Marshall up there. So that was a really fun experience.
Nice.
And I'm really excited to get to talk about it more in the other episode that we'll be uploading alongside this one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
me too. I know Rob was really excited about it, and it does seem like it was like hugely successful. So, yeah.
We were tired. The rooms were spinning. I shouldn't have gone to classes that next day, but I'll talk about that more in the other episode. So
the real world experience part of it, right?
Yeah,
a 24-hour news cycle is no joke.
Yeah. So Tijah, it was great having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
It was fun.
We can't wait to bring you back and vibe over tea again.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll catch up on the filmmaking degree.
Yeah,
I got you.
See what's up.
This has been Tea Time with Matt, Jimmy, and Nolan. Although Matt's sick and dying.
God.